From stories around the world to stories here at home, this is the National News Broadcast. A pleasant evening. I'm Dilanjali Ananda.
I'm Win Hettiarachi, and here are today's headlines. The President emphasizes the need for a new constitution. Sri Lanka and Germany pay attention on ways to improve economic relations. Senior ministers of the United National Party hold a special meeting with the Prime Minister. The authority in selecting the presidential candidate lies with the Working Committee, says Legal Secretary of the UNP. The case against Gotabaya Rajapaksa to be conducted on a daily basis from the 15th of October. Met Department forecasts a worsening of the prevailing bad weather conditions. The Scottish judge rejects a temporary ban on the parliamentary shutdown.
For those and other stories in detail now on your top story. To take forward the country towards development along with democracy, independence and equal rights, a suitable constitution is very necessary, says President Maithripala Sirisena. He expressed these views when he joined the Rupavahini Ekatasitum National Development Programme conducted in Jaffna district. On the 23rd of this month, the Rupavahini Ekatasitum program was launched, centered around Jaffna district. This program is covering all the provincial secretariats in the Jaffna district and is covering 5,900 development projects at a cost of 500 million rupees. President Maithripala Sirisena said that we have released 95% of our land utilized for army use during the war, which was a special crisis. 2 days ago, I discussed about the matter with the TNA parliamentarians. At that discussion, the three commanders of Triforces to conclude that the crisis about the land issue and bring relief to the people. Not only in the north, we have given the whole country the democratic freedom. Independence and peace was bestowed on the people. During my regime, I have done more work than any other president in the country. Further, under no circumstances has a gun fired at a citizen. Throughout the last 4 years in Parliament, they were preparing a new constitution. They spent millions of rupees on that. Parliamentarians, ministers, constitutional experts travelled all over the world regarding this matter. I have instructed to abolish the executive presidency before the coming presidential election. However, the members in the Parliament have not done anything. That is not my mistake. I insisted that they abolish the executive presidency. 4 years, people in the north has been deceived by saying the people of the south is coming to divide the country. They created hate and vengeance among the people. To develop the country, there should be a new constitution. The 19th Amendment that we have approved should be abolished. However, the question is who will be the Prime Minister who would amend the 19th Amendment.
වෙනි සංශෝධනය අහෝසි කළ යුතුයි. හැබැයි ප්‍රශ්නේ කුමක්ද මෙතනදී? මේ 19 වෙනි සංශෝධනය අහෝසි කරන්න කවුද පාර්ලිමේන්තුවේ කැමති වෙන අගමැතිවරයා කියන එකයි. පාර්ලිමේන්තුවෙන්ම මේක වෙනස් වෙන්න ඕනේ, සංශෝධනය වෙන්න ඕනේ. ඒ නිසා අපි ප්‍රජාතන්ත්‍රවාදයේ සාමය නිදහස ගැන කතා කරනකොට විශේෂයෙන්ම රට සංවර්ධනය කරන්න රටට ගැළපෙන ආණ්ඩුක්‍රම ව්‍යවස්ථාවක් ඕනේ. දේශපාලන ભેද අමතක කරලා ආණ්ඩුව සහ විපක්ෂයේ මේ වගකීම ඉෂ්ට කළ යුතුයි රට වෙනුවෙන්. එහෙම කළේ නැත්නම් රටේ යහපත් රාජ්‍ය පාලනයක් ඇති කරන්න බැරුව යනවා. ජනාධිපතිවරණයක් ළඟ එනවා. හැබැයි තවමත් මේ ආණ්ඩුවට කාලය තියෙනවා මේක නිවැරදි කරන්න. ආණ්ඩුව සහ විපක්ෂයේ මේ වගකීම් පිළිබඳව අවධානය යොමු කරන්න ඕනේ. 20යි 20 වෙන අලුත් ආණ්ඩුවකට රට කරන්න මේ වගකීම ඉන්න ආණ්ඩුව ඉෂ්ට කරනවා නම් තමයි හොඳ. ඒ නිසා මේ පාර්ලිමේන්තුව මේ ප්‍රශ්නේ විසඳන්න ඕනේ. මම ඒ සඳහා සම්පූර්ණ සහයෝගය
Among the projects launched with the hands of the President were the recycling of purified water project at Kannaki Amman Kovil and the opening of the education office at Kilinochi by utilizing digital technology. A stamp was issued in honouring the Thirukural volumes under the aegis of President. The President also launched the construction of the Point Pedro Fisheries Harbour. This will be the largest fisheries harbour in the island. The total money spent on this construction is 12,600 million rupees. The harbour will be in the dimension of 7.1 hectares and will have the facilities to anchor 300 multi-day boats. The largest drinking water project utilizing rainwater was launched today under the patronage of the President at Vadamarachi area. The total money spent on this project is 2 billion rupees. This is being conducted as a solution to the drinking water problem that was faced by the people in the area. This was yet another project launched with the mediation of the President. Meanwhile, the President joined the opening ceremony of the International Diyavara Conference of the North. The intent of this conference is to obtain aids and assistance of the international specialists in providing short-term, mid-term and long-term solutions to the water problem faced by the people of the area. The President also declared open the Vocational Guidance Centre in the Jaffna district. Subsequently, the President also indulged himself in a discussion with the youth who attended the ceremony. The President also said that steps would be taken to provide employment opportunities to 7 graduates who attended the ceremony. The Cooperative Development Bank headquarters in the north, which was built in the Takatadi area, was also declared open today.
Meanwhile, the efforts of President Maithripala Sirisena to bring about peace and reconciliation came to be praised by His Eminence Justin Welby, the Archbishop of Canterbury. When the Archbishop met President Maithripala Sirisena yesterday evening to the President's residence. On receiving the Archbishop of Canterbury with great honour and respect, the President mentioned that his visit to the country is a blessing. The President thanked the Archbishop for undertaking this tour. The Archbishop of Canterbury praised the programs launched by President to facilitate activities of all religions in the island in such a manner to heighten the mutual trust between each other while protecting the rights of people conducting their religious activities. It is at the conclusion of these discussions the Archbishop of Canterbury bestows his praise on the President. His Eminence Justin Welby, the Archbishop of Canterbury, this morning visited the Temple of Sacred Tooth in Kandy. On visiting the most venerable Tibbatuave, Sri Sumangala Thera, the Mahanayaka of the Malvatta chapter, Justin Welby, Archbishop of Canterbury, spent some time engaging in friendly discussions. Following that, Archbishop of Canterbury visited the Chief Mahanayaka of the Askiri chapter, Most Venerable Varakagoda, Sri Gnanathara Ratana Thera.
The tolerance shown by the Christian community in the Easter Sunday blasts is an example to the whole world, says Prime Minister Ranil Wickremesinghe, addressing the ceremony titled Agasau Pratibha, conducted to present awards at the temple trees today. The ceremony was organized to honor the Christian community who have dedicated themselves on the teachings of Jesus Christ. It was organized by the Christian Clergy Federation. The Sri Lanka Christian Federation also presented an award to the Prime Minister for his services rendered to the nation. The Federation also bestowed on the Prime Minister the Nelson Mandela Peace Award and a number of other awards.
You came here uninvited. Thank you very much. Therefore, the only way in which I could help you was when you asked me whether the premises could be made available for the Agasau Pratibha. And I said yes, certainly. If the premises were available to you during times of a crisis, when we needed help, it should be available today. In fact, I make it available for all religions and for different sects because we have to live according to the word of our religion. And it gives me great pleasure to have you here, and I must thank you for the award you have conferred on me. I am certainly not deserving of the award, but I think all those who have helped me in reconciliation is certainly deserving of the award. Because in our country, without reconciliation, without respect for each other, for religions, for languages, cultures and ethnicity, there is no survival for us. A Sri Lankan is a person who has a Sri Lankan identity. And that identity includes respect for each other's religions and cultures and ethnicity.
Meanwhile, the Secretary General of the German Parliament and the Deputy Minister of German Transport and Digital Infrastructure Facilities, Stefan Bilger, were met by the Prime Minister Ranil Wickremesinghe at the Temple Trees yesterday. During these discussions, emphasis was placed on the ways and means to upgrade the economic relations between two countries. Ideas were exchanged on how to open up possibilities on obtaining facilities from Germany on improving transport and civil aviation fields in Sri Lanka. Attention was also drawn on the subjects of climate change on the field of sustainable green energy and sustainable development. The Prime Minister indicated that strategic plans in establishing Sri Lanka as a hub in the Indian Ocean. In praising Prime Minister's efforts, Stefan Wilger assured the Prime Minister that Germany would provide fullest cooperation in this regard. A number of ministers and parliamentarians were present at this occasion.
Minister Sajith Premadasa says that he will take up measures to provide the preschool education free of charge. He made this declaration in addressing a ceremony in Kaluthara today, where he further said that he will take steps to strengthen and formalize the preschool mode of education. He was addressing the crowd at the ceremony to vest with the public the 265th and 266th model villages constructed under the Samata Sevana Yali Pibidana Udagamana program in Kaluthara. The two model villages titled Vasana Udagama and Set Sisilagama, consisting 31 houses with total infrastructure facilities, are at Pulat Sinhala area of Kaluthara. These houses were constructed at a total cost of 41.6 million rupees. Vesting these villages to the public, the minister also provided a number of social welfare projects that included housing loans to the low-income groups in the area, as well as a number of aid programs. Among those present during this occasion were Minister Ajith P. Pereira and Deputy Minister Palita Tevara Peruma.
Meanwhile, a special discussion was conducted this morning at the Temple Trees between Prime Minister Ranil Wickremesinghe and a group of senior ministers of the United National Party. During this discussion, details were taken up regarding the candidate of the United National Party in the upcoming presidential elections. Minister Gayantha Karunatilaka said every member of the UNP should stay together to ensure the victory of the party. The committee will gather again on the 6th. The unity throughout this period will ensure the victory of the party. We are involved in positive discussions today.
The authority in selecting the presidential candidate lies with the working committee, says the legal secretary of the United National Party. It is stated in the UNP constitution, says the legal secretary at a media briefing here today. Legal secretary of the UNP President's Council, Nishanka Nanayakara, said that the question today is why the UNP is not announcing its candidate. However, according to the 9.1 clause of the constitution of the UNP that says during an election, the naming of the candidate is with the working committee. It is only after the election committee has announced the presidential election that the party should call the working committee and call for nominations. Then the working committee should approve a name in the nominated list and announce it. This is the tradition continued from the J.R. Jayawardene era.
The 68th annual conference of Sri Lanka Freedom Party will be conducted on September 3rd under the patronage of President Maithripala Sirisena at the Sugathadasa Indoor Stadium. This was revealed by parliamentarian Shantha Bandara, the leader of the Youth Front of Sri Lanka Freedom Party, during a media briefing held today in Colombo. Parliamentarian Shantha Bandara said the 68th anniversary celebrations will be conducted under the chairman of Sri Lanka Freedom Party, President Maithripala Sirisena. All arrangements are ready, especially because we are conducting the ceremony organised by the Youth Front of Sri Lanka Freedom Party. Representatives from all corners of the country will participate. There will be 25 representatives from our Youth Front during the ceremony. Due to honours and respect will be bestowed on late SWRD Bandaranaike, late Madam Bandaranaike and other leaders who contributed to the success and continuity of the party. In comparison, other political parties in the island, SLFP is one that has inarguably served the country more.
The various promotional activities conducted to blow up the politicians' images will be considered misappropriation of government funds, says the Elections Commission. This was emphasized by a letter issued under the signature of Mahinda Deshapriya, the chairman of the Elections Commission, who had addressed and said letter to the secretaries and heads of the government institutions and chairman of the constitutional boards. The prevalence of a good atmosphere suitable for conducting elections prior to the announcement of an election is conducive to hold a free and fair atmosphere is essential, says Chairman of the Elections Commission. Therefore, conducting various promotional and publicity events at the expense of the government finances is considered as the attempt to distort the public opinion unduly. He has further pointed out that such an incident is inimical to conducting a fair election.
The case against 7 accused, including former Defence Secretary Gotabaya Rajapaksa, will be considered daily from 15th of October. It was ordered by the Colombo Special Three-Panel Board of Justices today. This case had been filed by the Attorney General. The 7 accused, including the Defence Secretary, are filed charges for misappropriation of 33.9 million rupees of Sri Lankan government in constructing the D.A. Rajapaksa Memorial Museum at Madamulana in Hambantota. When the case was called before the 3-panel board of judges, the attorney who appeared for the accused pointed out they are not satisfied with the amended charge sheet. The 3-panel justices were requested by the Deputy Solicitor General of the government on behalf of the Attorney General stated that the amendments to the charge sheet were made with the agreement of the Supreme Court and as such case should be proceed. The Supreme Court has ordered the relevant officers in charge of holding the elections in LPTA Pradesh Sabha to conduct the elections urgently in LPTA electorate. This decision was given by the Supreme Court imposing a suspension against order where the Democratic United National Front has presented a petition to the Supreme Court. The case against accused former Police Inspector Nirmal Ranjiva and former Prisons Commissioner Emil Ranjan Lamaheva was ordered to be taken up today by the 3-panel Board of Judges in Colombo High Court from the 14th of October. This case will be taken up on Monday, Wednesday and Fridays.
The Colombo Defence Seminar concluded today at BMICH. The Defence Seminar series was begun on year 2010. This is the 10th in the series. The Defence Seminar was organized by the Sri Lanka Army. There were 40 countries were represented at the seminar. They included armed forces, officials, diplomats and intelligence experts that amounted to 800 people. Excellence of the Army that is displayed in the contemporary defence atmosphere is the theme this year. 21 personnel delivered speeches during this seminar. The final session of the Defence Seminar was conducted under the Secretary of the Foreign Services, Ravinath Arya Singh.
Ibrahimu Michael Mona.
I strongly believe that we must do both, fight terrorism and protect human rights, and not sacrifice one at the altar of the other. It is in this context that the recent tragedy on Easter Sunday was a litmus test for Sri Lanka's resolve to apply human rights and humanitarian law, and especially a test of strengths and shortcomings of our democratic institutions that have been strengthened in recent years. As for the security response and community engagement in the aftermath of 21/4, we have witnessed the reconfirmation of the strength of law enforcement and security apparatus of Sri Lanka to secure the country and prevent any further attacks. We have done so while allowing for the mourning and coming to terms with our loss and embarking on the rebuilding and recovery process necessary after such horrific attacks on a citizenry. The speedy and effective restoration of security has been central to ensuring that the impact on the country, politically, economically, socially, and in terms of international reputation, was lessened. This security response would not have been possible without the assistance of the Sri Lankan community at large. The resilience of the social trust within Sri Lanka, despite the attempts of terrorists to destroy the social fabric of the country, was evident in the aftermath of the attacks. It speaks to the enduring link built in the past between our communities and law enforcement authorities, that communities themselves were coming forward to warn of the dangers to society.
The high-level forum on mainstreaming managing for development results in the public sector was conducted today in Colombo. The forum was organized by the Ministry of National Policies, Economic Affairs, Resettlement and Rehabilitation, Northern Province Development and Youth Affairs in collaboration with the United States Agency for International Development funded Strengthening Democratic Governance and Accountability project. Dr. Indranath Kumaraswamy, Governor of the Central Bank of Sri Lanka, expressed his views on the development of economic sectors as a result of this program.
Sri Lanka has grappled with major structural issues for decades. I used to help the finance minister of the 1980s, Mr. Ronnie DeMel, who served for 11 years, I think. For part of that reason, for part of that period, I was responsible for picking up some speaking notes for him. And I find that the speaking notes that were prepared in the 80s is basically what I'm saying today when I speak in public. Things have not changed. We have not been able to effect the reforms that we should have done over the decades.
Long time ago, the age-old definition for a politician was, or politics, the definition of politics, what was? That politics is the art of obtaining the votes of the rich. Actually, politics is the art of obtaining the money of the rich and votes of the poor on the pretext of protecting one from the other. But now, I think politics is changing like everything. We are in a very transitional world. Things are changing. We are living in the fourth industrial revolution in a digital society where knowledge and information is freely available, and we are under the hammer, politicians. And if we don't change, then lots of Fortune 500 companies that are being wiped out in months and years because they are not responsive to change, some of our politicians with old attitudes will also not be able to survive.
So the United States remains very committed to supporting Sri Lanka's development efforts that will ensure the delivery of socioeconomic benefits to all citizens. And results-based management is a global best practice. Not only do the planning, risk management, monitoring, and evaluation tools provide a framework for better decision-making, they give you the data you need to understand whether the programming and the investments of taxpayer funds are making a difference, and to generating hopefully better outcomes because you're better able to assess program impact, but they also help governments be more accountable and transparent to the public.
Now, all around the world, the UN has strengthened its capacities and capabilities in the areas of big data, of partnerships, innovations, economic planning, and communications. As the Secretary General said, we are moving ahead in establishing a new generation of UN country teams, more integrated, responsive, and accountable as they respond to the country priorities and needs with updated guidance, instruments, and tools. And the same applies to the UN in Sri Lanka, and I'm glad to have a few colleagues here. The transformational UN reform is giving us tools to provide you with how to enhance the support to manage with results. First, allow me again to commend the government's effort to align the national development goals with the SDGs.
A symposium jointly organized by the Sri Lankan Association of Geographers and the Department of Geography at the University of Colombo was held this morning at the Colombo University premises. The theme of the symposium was on the role of geographers in the national development while balancing countries' climatic and weather conditions. Discussions were held on how to resolve the issues concerning to environment in sustainable manner and on an eco-friendly development process of the country. The symposium was held to present research papers on the role of countries' geographers in the national development process. Further discussions were held on the awareness programs for general public and students. Chief guest and head of the Department of Geography at the University of Colombo, Professor Lasantha Manavadu, delivered the keynote speech at the event.
An increase in the prevailing strong windy and rainy conditions is expected, says the Meteorological Department. At any moment in the western and northwestern coastal areas, an increase in the rains or thunder showers along with strong winds can occur. As such, the fisheries and naval personnel should take precautionary measures. The winds in the northern province can increase up to 60 km per hour, and in the north central and southern provinces as well as Puttalam, Gampaha and in the Trincomalee district and the central hills, the windy conditions can at times be increased to 60 km per hour. It is expected. In the western, central, Sabaragamu, southern and northwestern provinces, torrential rains or thunderstorms can prevail. In certain areas in the Sabaragama province and in Kaluthura, Nuwara Eliya, Galle and Mathura districts, winds will increase to 75 to 100 kilometers per hour along with torrential rains, announces the Met Department. Throughout last night, strong winds and torrential rains prevailed in the watershed areas in the Central Hills, says our reporters. Due to these conditions, Carlsberg and Mausakale reservoirs are rising rapidly, declares the engineers in charge of those reservoirs. Due to this, in Canyon, Lakshapana, New Lakshapana, Polpitia and Vimla Surendra power stations, the power generation has reached its maximum level, says the engineers. Due to the torrential rains in the Galkatiamulle-Vatta area in Baddegama, an earth slip occurred, bringing a house into harm. No one was hurt due to this incident. Meanwhile, a tree has fallen on the telephone wires, causing damage. Road Development Authority has taken steps to remove the fallen tree. The Kaluganga has risen high suddenly, inundating the Ratnapura town and the neighbouring lowlands. This has caused the downstairs of the residents and houses go underwater. Due to the heavy rainfall in the Kaluthura district, the Kaluganga and its branches are swollen. Due to this, the people living around the area are being gone to take precautionary measures, says our reporter. The Hungama police reports that a tree has fallen onto a container travelling on the Tango-Hambantota main road in the Lunama area, causing traffic blockage. The Hambantota Pradesh Sabha has taken measures to cut and remove the fallen tree. In the meanwhile area in the earth-moving site in front of private hospital, one of the borders have collapsed on two persons who were travelling on the road last night. Later, the two persons were rescued. The report of the committee bring out the relief of those media persons who have suffered various incidents was handed over to the Secretary of the Ministry of Mass Media. This committee had been appointed by virtue of a proposal of President Maithripala Sirisena to bring about relief to the media persons who have undergone various impediments and sufferings from year 2005 to 2015. The report of this committee was handed over to the Secretary of the Ministry of Mass Media, Sunil Samaravira, by the chairman of the committee, Mrs. J.M. Tilaka Jayasundara, today. The other members of the committee were present this occasion.
The oil shares price index closed at 5,889.86 points, dropping by 10.62 points, and the S&P SL20 index closed at 2,908.44 points, dropping by 16.21 points at the end of trading at the Colombo Stock Exchange today. The turnover was 1,129 million rupees. Here is a summary of market details of the Colombo Stock Exchange today.
And before we wind up, a quick look at the weather forecast. Met Department says that windy conditions is expected to enhance over the island, particularly in northern province, up to 60 to 70 kilometers per hour at times, and north central southern provinces and Puntland, Gampaha and Trincomalee districts, and in the central hilly areas up to 60 kilometers per hour at times. Showers or thundershowers will occur in western, central, Sabaragamu, southern and northwestern provinces. Fairly heavy falls, about 75 to 100 millimeters, are likely at some places, particularly in Sabaragamu province and Kaluthura, Nuwara Eliya, Galle and Mathura districts. Several spells of light showers will occur in Anuradhapura and Mannar districts. Showers or thundershowers may occur at a few places in Uva province and Ampara district after 2 p.m. There may be temporary localized strong winds during thunder showers. General public is kindly requested to take adequate precautions to minimize damages caused by lightning activity. On the apparent southward relative motion of the sun, it is going to be directly over the latitudes of Sri Lanka during 27th of August to the 7th of September this year. The nearest towns of Sri Lanka over which the sun is overhead tomorrow are Mulastipiti, Ihalaputtalakalam, Tambubetuam, Periyakulam and Madirigiriya about 12:11 noon.
That's it for tonight's Indigenous broadcast. Thank you for joining us.
Good night.